Okay, let's just have a quick Google. WTF is Daegu? Probably a place? It is. It's a city. It's a Korean city. 10 points to Gryffindor. Hello there, my name is Comedian, if you didn't know, if you're living under a rock, which is called the rest of the internet. Today I'm finishing up my Agust D reaction series. I'm doing Dear My Friend. It's the last song on the EP or album, or, I mean, I don't really like EPs anyway. I think the reason I'm biased against EPs is for some reason, you know, on every EP on iTunes or Apple Music, Apple puts brackets EP in the album title, which just really upsets me. It really just, I go through all my music and edit out the word EP from the album title because it's like, I know it's an EP. It's got a few tracks less than an album would have. You don't have to put brackets album in the rest of it. Am I right? Oh, that's my bit of light observational comedy for the day out of the way. Whew, thank goodness. So now we can get down to the real nitty gritty, the BTS Agust D Suga reaction. Make sure you have clicked the subscribe button, and make sure you also go and click on the little bell notification and help support my channel. And you can also help support my channel even more on Patreon, where you can watch around BTS Bon Voyage reactions for a very reasonable fee. But most importantly, you can just stick around, have fun watching this, click the like button if you feel so inclined. Anyway, this album has been just cracking, an absolute corker so far, so I am looking forward to wrapping this up. The interlude, I think, was an incredible, penultimate song for this album, so I've got high hopes for the last one, let's just put it that way. Let's get on with this. Another very melancholy piano intro. It still has that, like, there's such a solid theme, a consistent theme in this album of both happiness and sadness, of both melancholy and upbeat joy. Like, this piano ditty has it both in there. Yeah, let's see. Whew, this is already tough. The positivity of, you know, of a friend, of a good friend. I mean, I'm guessing that. I'm extrapolating, big word, from the title, and the melancholy of a friend that has been lost, I guess, either due to distance, moving apart, or maybe even death. I guess we'll find out. That makes it interesting. Because when I said, would we still be friends? I was like, oh, well, this person, you know, must still be alive then, the subject of this song. And I was like, actually, no, that's not true at all. Because that is another mind fiddle, really. You know, the older you get, the more likely you are to lose friends to various things. I've had a few friends, or, you know, past friends that I've lost, and that is something I haven't thought about, but now I am, which is, would we still be friends if they were still around? Probably something I should try and think about off camera, because, you know, wow. Dear my friend, 나 솔직히 말할게, 난 네가 존나게 미워. Okay, let's just have a quick Google. WTF is Daegu? Probably a place, I'm guessing. It is. It's a city. It's a Korean city. 10 points to Gryffindor. This is going to be the song of 1,000 Googles. Soju, I guess it doesn't really matter. It's an alcoholic beverage. In fact, I recognize this. There's a Korean market, like, so close to where I live now, which is cool. And I have seen this drink on the shelves, and I have been terrified to try it, because I was like, well, what if it's like sake? Because I don't like sake. Or I've tried, like, I don't understand, you know, maybe I haven't had, like, good sake, but, like, anytime I'm offered sake, I will try it, and I never like it. So I just think it's one of those things. But don't worry, there are, you know, foreign drinks I do enjoy. It's not just, you know, Ribena and water for me. Water with ketchup, of course. This is thematically so similar to the song Headlights by Eminem. I know, you know, he's not the best person to use as an example because, you know, he's a bit of a knob. But they're both rappers. It's hard to believe that Suga wouldn't be, well, at least aware of Eminem, or maybe even obviously, heard his stuff. Like, he's obviously an incredibly influential figure in the world of rap. Yeah, just very similar vibes to this. That song is about his mother and how they lost contact and then kind of rekindling, and it's a very kind of melancholy song. This is too. Like, I'm getting big Headlights vibes from this, but about a friend, which I think is very interesting. I can't really think of too much music, and I get where he's saying this because I realize a lot of the music I listen to or have listened to for the past 10 years of my life has basically just been, robot orgy noises. But still, I listen to lots of stuff like rap and stuff. I can't think of too much music about friendships, that have kind of moved on. And I really wish there was more discussion of that in modern media, because it's one of those things that as a kid, you never think about it, best friends forever. And the older you get, the more you lose friends, or you just move on, or even you just move. And even with the internet the way it is, even with social media now, it can be very, very hard to maintain friendships. Not to maintain them where you would never, if you go back to your hometown, you wouldn't hang out with them immediately. But to the point where it has the same impact and you talk every day, I don't know. The older we get, the more and more barriers can happen, or the more we can change, or just, spanners can get thrown into the works where, friendships just move on and we lose friendships. And I feel like that's not explored enough in media, and it should be, because when it starts happening to you, it really is a mind fiddle. It's okay, so his friend isn't, hasn't passed away. He's in prison, I'm guessing, unless this story gets sadder. And I love this part of the chorus because I've had friends, and there's one friend in particular I'm thinking of that I have lost to suicide, very sadly. It is a fact of life, I think, as we get older. And even if it was a friend that you were closer to in school and you didn't talk too much, you still, the survivor's guilt is so very real. It's so intense, and you just think because even back then, this was a guy that I hadn't had contact with in a while, and I rekindled a bit of contact, and then we'd stop talking again for a few years, not for any reason, just like I said earlier, I moved, it just naturally kind of just stopped talking a bit. But that guilt I felt thinking that when I'd met him again and rekindled our friendship slightly, I remember I was in a kind of a bad place. I remember thinking he also seems to be in a bad place, but you just never imagine where it will end up. But it doesn't stop you thinking later I should have said something, if I would have just done this differently. And of course it doesn't help, and it's not, and obviously hopefully you get over that. And if that ever happens to you, obviously the bottom line is it's not your fault. It's never your fault. Arguably you did the best you could by being a friend or whatever, but it doesn't, and it doesn't matter if it's, it doesn't have to be somebody tragically taking their own life. It could be them, them getting into a bad situation, them being in a situation that you feel sorry for. Anytime a human has empathy, I think it's quite natural to feel guilty when you find out an old friend is in X or Y situation. This is a good song. Let's just say that. 네가 변한 건지 아님 내가 변한 건지 흐르는 시간조차 미워 우리가 변한 거지 뭐. 야 네가 밉다. 야 네가 싫다. 야 이 말을 하는 이 순간조차 난 네가 그립다. 에이 매주 갔었던 서울고치 소면의 길 왕복 3시간쯤 됐었던 먼 길을 혼자서. And it's so interesting that he's throwing in that kind of that emotion there. I mean, this is very real and honest. It sounds almost shocking, this person's in prison and he's I hate you, but we can't help the way we feel, and we don't always have the best organic, or maybe our first emotion isn't the most logical one, and maybe you resent your friend, why did you have to get yourself into the situation? Maybe you'll feel that thing of anger before that gives way to the compassion, the empathy or whatever. It's so interesting that he's putting that in there, And I really obviously hope and expect that there's going to be more background filled in, because I feel like that's building up to something, you know. There's a reason for that kind of resentment or that anger. I like that he's clarified there that he said, you know, he's resented him for changing. At the end, he said, and I've also changed too. And it's not because of time. That always makes this song easy to swallow, because it's like, I just feel like it's a very genius touch, because if you have somebody just come out of prison, and I guess he hasn't really said what he's gone for. I'm guessing, because I think of some context some of my commenters have given me when they suggested this song, that maybe it was to do with drugs or whatever. But if that was the case, then obviously most people who go to prison for drugs, like, that's just a form of mental illness. Like, addiction is a form of mental illness or whatever, if that's what it was. So it's interesting. He's like, you know, he resents him for changing, but then he also admits, I've changed too. I just like how it kind of, you know, it shows that he's not, like, he's, you know, this song isn't just about judging someone else. He's also like looking inwards too. Oh man, this song is making me feel things. That breakdown was really cool. Wow. All right, Mr. Suga, I've got a nice little breakdown here. You better fill in some more of the backstory here. The song is leaving me wanting at the moment. This beat is really good. You bastard, Suga. I swear, if this is going to be the end of it. Alright, this chorus is really good too. Well, I guess like outro chorus. Chorus of literal, I mean, you know, I mean the literal chorus. The literal chorus of voices. Oh. All right, the thing that's now, you know, tripping me up is that this picture is, now I'm actually properly seeing it, it's quite evocative. Like, this is a suicidal looking picture. Like, this is I mean, look at it. It's a picture of like cliffs or whatever. I don't know. This is, I don't know what's happening. All right, that was really, really good. I'm still left wanting more though. Like, it's kind of like perfect in its simplicity. It's quite perfect. Like, it's such a well-contained song. I just want the context. Maybe the context has been lost in translation. I might actually have a quick look at Dulcet for this maybe and see if I can get, just quickly, I'm not going to read it out or anything, but I just want to see if I can get anything else, because I'm just so curious about this song. Okay, so the one thing that was missing from the translation, I think, was that asking if you wanted to try, then a blank would have been, would you like to try this drug? I feel like in the translation, like, it kind of came off like, would you like to try, as in, I don't know, hanging out? So that gives some more clue. Yeah, I think reading that has helped kind of almost like put a nice bow on that song for me. I think it's a unique thing to when it's like, It's addiction. There are many forms of addiction. I would compare this as to when you have a friend and you want to try and save them from like, an abusive relationship or a situation that's really bad. And as much as you try and pull them out of it, you can't. And you begin to realize that there's only so much, not control, but like so much you can help someone. And like sometimes letting go feels terrible. And then you kind of end up feeling like anger at them, but that anger isn't necessarily at them. It's almost like the anger you feel inside at the impotent rage of not being able to help, and you direct it at them because it's like, it's just I think it's the feeling of helplessness, and it doesn't mean you don't care or anything like that. Yeah, I think I understand the song even better now with that final bit of context. It's a really great song, and it really made me feel about and it really made me think about like a friend I've lost in particular. So yeah, it was a tough one, but like I think it summed up that emotion, and it put to words that emotion just so perfectly. The feeling of like reminiscing, of blaming yourself, and of almost feeling guilty, like, just by moving on with your life. And just, like quite often the issue with trying to help your friends who have mental health issues is when you have mental health issues yourself, like there's only so much energy everyone has to find out energy to help people with. And that can become a reason why you torture yourself. Like, why didn't I help more? But obviously, it's not usually because you're a bad person. It's because you were busy trying to help yourself at the same time. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this song. I think it was really, really great. I still think it really does actually have a lot in common with the song Headlights by Eminem. I think that's a song title. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Eminem stan or whatever. But I did used to listen to that song because it reminded me of my relationship with my mother. And I think it might be worth listening to if you enjoyed this song. Obviously, Eminem is not exactly an idol of progressivism like maybe BTS kind of slightly are, but I think it's worth listening to. I think if you enjoyed this one, it might be worth listening to that. Yeah, and what they have in common is just being fantastic songs about loss, about grief, about guilt, about losing people, to addiction or to mental health problems, anything like that. Yeah, this song is a fantastic way to round out the album. Like, I couldn't think of a more fitting end. This one really, really stands out. I think it might be my favorite off the album. I don't think it really matters. I think the album has just been great overall. And obviously I haven't listened to the album enough to be like, because, that's the thing about albums, isn't it? And that's the reason why I want to try and, get back to my old listening habits, because these days I tend to be like, I'll do a thing where like, if I listen, I'll give a song I listen once, or even with like EDM, I'll skip to the middle. And if I'm like, okay, this doesn't sound brilliant, I'll just skip to the next song. And it's like, there's so much music back in the day that I would get into, through the process of slowly appreciating it, where I would be like, and it would grow on me and become like a favorite song. And I don't like that. I don't really give myself the opportunity to explore music that way anymore. It's definitely a mental health related thing, but yeah. Anyway, a billion different tangents aside, like I said, fantastic song. I hope you guys enjoyed my reactions to this entire album. Really great series. As in not the quality of my reaction, but the album itself. I'm glad I did this series. Really good album. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please do make sure you are subscribed if you've enjoyed all of this. It really helps me out. And it just makes me feel nice to see the counter go up. Sometimes it gets stuck for like a week or even several weeks, and it's just kind of like, oh man, like what am I doing wrong? Am I not special enough to not love me? Yeah. And also do check out my Patreon if you'd like to help support me. Another way of supporting me, and you can get to watch some fun stuff and have Discord and all that stuff in the description as well. More importantly, have a fantastic day. Keep being yourself. That's very important. And remember, if you like my reaction to Dear My Friend, then click the subscribe button. This is the album end, sadly.